How my ex's reunion turned into a night of surprises for everyone. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. The mic popped like a small firecracker, and Maya said my name like a dare. I felt Priya's elbow graze my ribs as the ballroom lights dimmed and a platinum slideshow frame spun across the projector. Smiling faces, class trips, yearbook quotes. Surprise. The MC boomed, and the crowd turned, a tide of perfume, hairspray, and champagne breath. I hadn't planned on coming back to our hometown hotel, not after the breakup that never got a proper ending. But closure is a petty god with a loud voice. You're fine, Priya murmured, nails tapping my wrist in a steady metronome. I told myself the same lie. I only came to return a book Maya left in my storage bin, to say we're good, to stop rehearsing arguments on my commute. The playlist glued to the night with early 2010s hits, the chandelier hummed like a hive. I could feel old stories lifting their heads as if they smelled meat. My steak? A rumor I'd heard last week. About me, about why I vanished senior spring. If it spread again, it would bleed into my job at the nonprofit downstate, where board members still Google you. The MC teased a special announcement, and Maya's smile went glossy, practiced. Beside her, Jordan adjusted his cufflinks without looking at me, which is a look by itself. My drink glass sweated a ring on the linen. Priya whispered, "If you want to go, we go," and I shook my head, because I needed one clean truth. The projector froze on a photo I didn't recognize, my locker, my hoodie, the red scuff mark only I noticed back then, and something cold unfurled in my stomach as the room counted down to the announcement. The MC raised his hand, the room inhaled, and Maya leaned into the mic as if kissing a secret. The speakers crackled, and Maya said, "I'm engaged," while still staring at me. I like to tell people Maya and I broke up because distance is a solvent, because I moved for work and she stayed to build her brand, because grown-ups outgrow. The truer map has smaller streets, ones you miss until you're on them. Nights I begged for honesty about those late committee meetings. Mornings she came over already angry. The week our friend group split over a prank that wasn't a prank. At the check-in table, a woman in a blazer with volunteer on her badge slid me a name tag that said Alex Martin, guest, as if I'd strolled in off the sidewalk. "Should say alumnus," Priya said, and the volunteer blinked like we'd asked for her password. Then Jordan appeared, all handshake and cologne, the smoothness of a good LinkedIn page. "Alex," he said, like he'd practiced my name in a mirror. "Maya's told me so much." "Only the punchlines, I hope," I answered. "Only the relevant parts," he said, which landed like a thin blade. I caught a whiff of the roses backed against the ballroom wall and remembered senior week. Cheap petals, sticky stems, a fight in the parking lot about who texted whom. We never closed that loop. We just stopped talking, and then the story calcified without me. The MC's voice stretched between us like floss. A reunion is a time to correct the record. I felt my face heat, thinking of the rumor, the one about me bailing after an incident, leaving Maya to handle fallout I supposedly caused. I wasn't innocent, but I wasn't that. I came tonight to puncture that balloon before it shaded everything else. Jordan's smile didn't touch his eyes. "Enjoy the show," he said, and slid away like a door. Behind him, I saw Maya hand a USB to Nolan, and Nolan shook his head. The name tag glue felt wrong, slightly tacky, like it had been peeled off someone else and pressed onto me. I stuck it on anyway and watched the slideshow restart. Bake sale shots, prom candidates, the senior prank we swore we'd never mention on camera. But there it was, a photo from the night after, when only 4 of us were there. My face, cut half off, an arm reaching out of frame, and a timestamp that didn't match the memory. "We weren't there then," Priya said, eyes narrowed. "We were at your house watching that horror sequel with the raccoon." I laughed, because the detail was so specific it anchored me. Nolan drifted over, sleeves rolled, headset around his neck. "Guest list got weird," he murmured, pretending to rearrange the photo booth props. 15 RSVP'd classmates missing, 10 plus ones added last minute. Someone cares more about who watches than who shows. "Committee," I said. He shrugged. "I just run the toys." The DJ faded one track into another, too smoothly, like he wanted to muffle footsteps. At the bar, A group of old teammates looked over in a hush I remembered from locker rooms just before the chant. "Weird to see you," one said, but the words carried something else. I told myself paranoia was a souvenir of heartbreak. Still, the pattern felt deliberate. Name tag downgraded, slideshow bending facts. Guest list spiked with strangers. Priya touched her phone, screen lighting her cheek. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm fine." I lied, and the lie sounded like advice. The MC cued a raffle walkthrough. Nolan hustled toward the stage with a crate of prizes. As he passed, I caught a glint of metal winking between branded mugs and a candle. Perched on top, gleaming under the chandelier, was my old Letterman pin. The pin was a dumb little thing, bronze, shaped like the mascot, engraved with a year I used to think defined me. I lost it the week of graduation and chalked it up to entropy. Seeing it in the raffle basket felt like a taunt with teeth. "That can't be yours," Priya said, but the scuff on the back, the bent clasp, those were mine. I moved toward the stage, and a cluster of people peeled off from a conversation like I'd tripped a wire. "He really showed," someone whispered, and another voice answered. "Of course he did. He needs attention." The rumor had legs, then, and a healthy diet. I stopped, breathed, stepped back. Across the room, I heard Maya's voice, brisk, PR calibrated. "We're cutting the memorial montage to save time." "You can't cut that," a volunteer protested. "People specifically requested, we'll post it later," Maya said. And there it was, the edit face, eyes smiling while the mouth shaved the truth. My chest tightened. I didn't come to fight, I told myself. I came to anchor. The lights warmed, the projector flared, the raffle sponsor took the mic. Priya nudged me. "If you bail now, you let the story stand," she said. I wanted to roll my eyes and say I wasn't that dramatic, but the room ran on old currencies. Who said what first? Who owned the mic? Who controlled the slideshow? Someone behind us whispered, "Ask him about the parking lot." And I knew which parking lot they meant. Senior week. Rose petals. A text from a number that wasn't hers. My palms went slick. I took 2 steps toward the aisle, then stopped like I'd hit glass. Because the MC waved a man forward, and the man was holding my varsity jacket. It wasn't just any jacket. It was mine, the left pocket stitched crooked because I'd learned late and Mom never got around to fixing it. The MC beamed. "Look what turned up in storage," he said. "We'll raffle it to fund our scholarship." Laughter. A few claps. I stared at the jacket and felt heat gather behind my eyes, then cool into a small, hard certainty. Priya leaned close. "You don't have to make this a scene," she said, gentle. "But you can ask a question." I inhaled the ballroom's cocktail of lilies and spilled gin. "Where did you find it?" I called, surprising myself with how steady I sounded. Head swiveled. The MC blinked. "The committee room," he said, deferential eyes flicking to Maya. She smiled like magazine gloss. "We've been consolidating old donations for months," she said. "It must have slipped in." "Donations?" I said. "From whom?" Jordan laughed, too loud, and the sound felt rehearsed. "Maybe check your memory before you check the process," he said. Priya squeezed my arm, a reminder to keep my mouth and mind in the same room. I let it drop for now. The raffle rolled on. I drifted to the edge of the dance floor, feathers of conversation brushing against me. He ghosted her. No, she ghosted him. Wasn't there money missing that night? The DJ changed tracks. A bass line made the glassware tremble. I almost left, dizzy with the sense that I'd been invited as a prop. Priya hissed, "Stay with me," and then my phone buzzed in my palm, a dull dragonfly against skin. I looked down, expecting a message from our group chat. It was an unfamiliar lock screen, and the phone wasn't mine anymore. For a second I thought I'd pocket swapped with Priya, but her case had a chip in the corner, and this one glimmered smooth, shiny, new, blank of stickers. The wallpaper was default blue, the notifications a thicket of bubbles previewing a group chat titled Reunion Core. A message scrolled up, "Donations short, again. Who has the Venmo access?" Another message, "Do not mention the ledger near Alex." My chest went cold. I looked around as if the phone's owner would sprint toward me, and then Priya's eyes widened. "Someone slipped it," she said, voice hushed. "Or you grabbed it with the jacket moment." I tapped, heart drumming. A photo landed in the chat. Proof of deposit? No, a screenshot of a spreadsheet, lines of names and amounts, then a red note overlaid. "Move totals to private, please." Jordan's initials floated beside it. I glanced toward the stage. Maya was laughing with the MC, a smile you could put on a poster. This feels like entrapment, I whispered. Or confession, Priya said. Nolan, I called, as he passed with a coil of cable. He read fast, eyebrows shooting up. That's the committee chat, he said. I set it up for them. Who gave you this? I shook my head. No idea. Nolan chewed his lip. Keep it for now, he said. If someone reaches, stall. And don't leave it unattended. I nodded, pulse wobbling. The phone pinged again. Jordan, we'll settle after the announcement. Stop panicking. Another bubble. Maya, double-check the RSVP account access. We can't have that mistake again. Priya whispered, what mistake? And I didn't answer. Because a new notification slid up, and it was a calendar alert labeled parking lot. I opened the calendar like it might bite. The alert linked to a private reminder. 9:45 p.m., slideshow switch, restore final cut. Below that, a QR code preview hovered, titled Scholarship Donations, Legacy Link. Except when I scanned it with Priya's phone, the landing page didn't mention our class. It was a generic payment handle under a different name, the kind you make to keep things tidy and deniable. Priya's mouth set into that straight line she gets when numbers don't add up. Who benefits? She asked, and all the air felt immediately thinner. Let's test timestamps, I said, adrenaline sharpening my brain. We ducked behind the photo booth curtain, where the hum of the printer masked our whispers. I opened the slideshow folder, cloud link saved on the stolen phone. File names flickered by, Final 3. MOV, final_redo. MOV, announcement_master. MOV. The upload times were off by minutes from the program schedule Nolan had printed, like someone had quietly swapped versions while the party swept on. Nolan slipped a wristband into my palm, the neon kind that opens doors. Backstage access if you need it, he said. But seriously, be careful. People invested. Who exactly? I asked, and he just looked toward Jordan, then toward a row of committee volunteers guarding a laptop like a shrine. The room felt suddenly full of magnets, all pulling different directions. I rechecked the QR code target. An email address blinked in the corner, unbranded. I know that domain, Priya said. Jordan used it for a consulting pop-up last year. The hairs on my arms lifted. Then the photo booth printed a strip that wasn't ours, and it showed senior week. The strip had 4 frames, 2 goofy smiles, 1 tongue out, and then the 4th, a blurred figure in the background, hand on the shoulder of someone cropped. The backdrop wasn't tonight's sequence, it was the old cafeteria banner, the one from senior week we'd borrowed for nostalgia. I flipped it over. The auto-printed timestamp said tonight. Cloud uploads pull old cache if the folder names match, Nolan said, peering in. It happens if someone recycles directories. The 4th frame bugged me like a pebble in shoe. I zoomed in, and there it was. The corner of Jordan's college hoodie, the rare color he wore that year on his campus visits, standing just behind me and Maya on the night she swore we were alone when we argued. In my head, the script we'd rehearsed for a decade jolted off its track. Priya pointed. He wasn't supposed to be there, right? No, I said, but the word came out thin. Memory bent to accommodate the new geometry. The roses, the angry whisper, the text from an unknown number. What if he wasn't just gossip's witness, but its author? I pulled up the senior week photo folder the slideshow was drawing from. Metadata sat right there, dumb and helpful. Uploader, Jordan. K. Edited 2 days ago. Why would he edit senior week? Priya asked, but I already knew the shape of a motive. Control the narrative, bake it into nostalgia, make the lie easier to swallow because it's set to music. The playlist shifted to a slow song. The crowd drew closer. I checked the scholarship ledger again and imagined those totals siphoning off in small, neat arcs. Then a new message hit the stolen phone. If Alex starts asking, stall until the toast. Adrenaline makes me efficient. I build checklists to outrun fear. Step 1. Copy evidence. I airdropped the chat screenshots to Priya's phone. We tested visibility at max brightness in case we had to show a table full of skeptics. Step 2. Verify the money trail. I navigated to the payment handle's public history. Some donations, some refunds, oddly timed transfers to an empty label account. Step 3. Audio. Nolan handed me a tiny recorder he uses to capture crowd noise for highlight reels. It's legal to record here? Priya asked. One-party consent in this state, he said. But don't be stupid with it. I swallowed and tucked it in my pocket. Step 4. Hallway exchange. I texted Maya from my own phone. I'd kept her number in case of emergency. Apparently, this qualified. Congrats. Can we talk, quick? No response. The chat on the stolen phone fluttered. Maya, handle it. I'm on stage prep. Jordan, I'll talk to him. Priya read over my shoulder. He's coming, she said, voice flat. Last step, decide for him. Private confrontation would preserve faces. Public exposure would cauterize the rumor factory. I thought about my job, the kids we place in internships, the board chair who'd been in this class 2 years ahead. I thought about the senior week story that had ruined my last months of high school. We set a trap, I said quietly. Not to humiliate, just to restore the actual record. Nolan nodded once. I can load the unedited slideshow if you give me the file path. I pointed. He paled. That will be loud. I nodded. Good. Then Jordan's reflection slid into the photo booth mirror like a storm front approaching. Couldn't stay away from the camera, huh? Jordan said, voice velvet with a snag in it. Up close, he smelled like cedar and a little like adrenaline. Congrats, I said, keeping my tone neutral. Big night. He lowered his voice. It will be, if we all cooperate. Priya shifted, placing herself between us like a chess piece. Cooperate with what? She asked. He ignored her, fixing on me. Let me save you some trouble, he said. You've always needed someone to interpret reality for you. The sentence sounded practiced, like he'd said it to mirrors. You're rerouting donations, I said, and his face didn't move at first. Then something in his jaw ticked. Administrative consolidation, he said. All above board. Then why hide the ledger? Priya asked. He smiled at her like she was quaint. Adults handle finances. The word adults landed like a slap. My blood roared. And senior week? I said. Metadata says you edited the album. He leaned in so close I could see the tiny white scar on his chin. Careful, he whispered. You don't want to relitigate the parking lot. The old rumor uncoiled in the space between us, reptilian and patient. What actually happened there? I asked. He tilted his head. What you made everyone believe, he said, and I realized his strategy. Accuse me of my own defense before I can use it. My pulse doubled. Priya cleared her throat. We don't threaten, she said. We invite transparency. Nolan's voice hissed in my earbud. Alex, 2 minutes to toast. Decide. I almost said yes to silence, to slipping away with Priya and letting ghosts keep their rooms. Then Jordan reached for the phone in my hand, and I didn't let go. Give that back, he said, but his eyes flicked down first, reading the notification banner, Nolan's text about the unedited file. His grip tightened. Mine did too. It'll go easier if we do this with finesse, he said low. For everyone. I thought of everyone as a weather word. Vague. Used to explain rain on someone else's roof. I nodded toward the stage. How about we finesse up there? I said. Priya's eyebrows climbed. Nolan's voice crackled. Ready when you are. I slipped the phone into my jacket, took Priya's hand, and walked straight toward the dais like a person who belonged there. That's the trick with old halls. You remember which doors open if you don't ask. The wristband Nolan gave me beeped us past the side curtain. A volunteer tried to stop me, and then decided we looked official. Nolan knelt by the laptop, fingers flying, a second window hidden under the run of show. You sure? He asked. We can't put this toothpaste back. I thought of the rumor that tailed me like a stray dog for a decade. The way it sat between me and jobs, me and dates, me and sleep. Play the original, I said. Restore the donation QR. And the chat? Priya asked. We show it if they lie, I said. No ambush, just truth when truth is dodged. The MC lifted the mic for the toast. Maya slid into the wings, veil of confidence fluttering. Alex, she said, softer than I expected. Don't do anything regrettable. Like erase history? I asked. She flinched. Then the projector cut from announcement_master to final_redo, and the room went very still. The first frames looked the same. Kids on bleachers, the silly handshake we made up, the coach pretending not to cry. Then the sequence widened. Photos never meant for the stage, the untrimmed edges. The senior week folder burst open inside the timeline, the cafeteria banner, the parking lot in twilight. The fourth frame from the photo strip bloomed to full size. Me and Maya mid-argument, and behind us, Jordan's hoodie, Jordan's hand, Jordan's phone held at an angle that could produce a rumor with a single send. The room inhaled, and then the donation slide appeared with the original QR in bold. Phones lifted. That's the wrong file, Maya said into her mic, voice flattened by the speakers. Please ignore. This is the file you uploaded 2 months ago, Nolan said calmly, piping his voice into the system. Timestamps don't lie. Jordan regained his ease like a magician catching a dropped card. This is childish, he said. Our committee consolidated funds as advised. I held up the stolen phone, screen bright with the chat. Move totals to private, please. We'll settle after the announcement. Stop panicking. This shows intent, Priya said clearly, because she knows juries live inside crowds. Murmurs curdled into sentences. That's theft. No, it's accounting. Why edit senior week? Maya's face cracked. Something tired looked out. We changed the album to avoid reigniting old drama, she said. It was compassionate. Except compassion needs truth to aim, I said. And your fiancé aimed it at me. Jordan smiled slow. You always wanted to be the victim, he said. Even your disappearing act served your myth. Then a familiar board member stepped forward and asked, where did the scholarship money actually go? Silence swallowed the room. The private kind crowded with public eyes. Jordan lifted his palms. We routed through a holding account to secure matching funds, he said smoothly. But a bank delay. Which bank? The board member asked. What matching program? Priya added. I watched Jordan's pupils dilate as his brain chose a lane. He went with offense. Look at Alex, he said, flourished toward me. Weaponizing nostalgia to settle a personal score. A handful of heads nodded, relief seeking narrative. I felt the recorder hot in my pocket. My instinct was to drop a monologue that would shatter glass. Instead, I played the hallway clip Nolan had cued, Jordan whispering, you don't want to relitigate the parking lot. The gym-sized hush broke. He threatened him. No, that's caution. Why threaten if clean? Maya turned to Jordan, something like fear crossing her face. Tell them, she said, almost pleading. Before this eats us. He blinked. Tell them what? The board member's gaze had weight. We'll audit, he said, voice steel-wrapped in sugar. Tomorrow morning. Phones recorded everything. Receipts proliferated like dandelions. People who'd ignored me for a decade were suddenly speaking to me as if we'd always been on good terms. People who loved Maya earlier now loved distance. It was ugly and human and predictable. Later, in the corridor, my supervisor texted, heard you were brave. Keep it factual. My stomach flipped. I hadn't wanted to be brave. I'd wanted not to be erased. The DJ killed the music, then brought it back low, like CPR. Then Maya removed her ring and set it carefully on the podium. I need air, Maya said, voice small without the PA. We stepped into the service hall, concrete coolness like a second spine. Priya hovered, arms crossed. I edited the album, Maya admitted, words stumbling. I told myself it was kinder. Easier on everyone. I kept thinking, if we change the frame, the picture hurts less. I stared at the cinder block and felt something inside me unclench with an awful tenderness. You let a lie live in my mouth, I said. It moved in and ate the furniture. She nodded, tears making black commas at her lashes. Jordan said the fundraiser needed structure, she whispered. He promised he'd reconcile the totals. He said you'd lash out if we showed the old photos. Priya exhaled. Boundaries, she said softly, like a weather report you design your day around. I found my words one fence post at a time. Here are mine, I said. No more private rewrites. If you have questions about my past, ask me. If you need help repairing the fundraiser, it happens with oversight, in writing, and refunds first. Maya nodded. I'll resign from the committee, she said. I'll help fix it. Publicly. We re-entered the ballroom. Nolan handed me my jacket and the Letterman pin, which I didn't take as trophies. Only artifacts returned to their rightful drawer. The board member announced a temporary freeze on funds and a transparent accounting process. Applause fluttered, weary and tentative. Then my phone buzzed with an unknown number and a text that said, we should talk now. The unknown number belonged to a classmate I barely remembered, a quiet kid who now ran compliance for a mid-sized firm. We sat at a side table while the after-party drained upstairs. I can advise the audit pro bono, they said. If the money's clean, great. If not, we'll make it right with documentation. Relief arrived like rain you didn't realize you'd prayed for. I walked to the ballroom doors with Priya, shoes soft against the carpet, projector throwing one last frame. An empty hallway from senior week, sun blurring the floor with forgiveness. Outside, the night smelled like cut grass and cooling asphalt. What did we learn? Priya asked, grinning. I laughed, which felt like returning a borrowed item. I learned reunions aren't time machines. They're mirrors with better lighting. I learned closure isn't a gift, the kind they hand you at a podium. It's a ledger you balance and ink you choose, with witnesses. I learned lies last longer when you decorate them with music, and that proof doesn't have to be loud, just patient. For anyone watching, bring your facts, your friend who knows your tells, and your boundaries written like laws you enforce with kindness. Keep receipts of joy too, photo strips that are only jokes, songs that are just songs. Tonight was a surprise party for the truth. Not everyone loved the cake. But the scholarship fund will be real again, kids will get checks, and I will sleep without arguing with a ghost. And before we left, I pinned the mascot to my jacket and finally exhaled.